Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today I am going to be going a little bit off piste here. This video is not going to be a review of any comic or book I've been reading recently. This is actually a reply to a Twitter conversation that popped up in my account. I follow certain authors and then someone commented something, someone retweeted, it appeared in my feed and it sort of got me a little bit annoyed. So this is a reply to you, Alisha Grauso. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. I hope you see this and I hope you're willing to engage in polite, honest discourse conversation here about a claim that you made where it wasn't even an unintentional or a careless statement, because it was very clear. I've got the screenshot here. Undoubtedly, bold letters, horror has always been political. Now I take offense at that. I completely disagree with that point, and it annoys me, it upsets me when people make such bold claims without substantiation. Backing, without argument, because it's just simply not true. Horror hasn't always been political. It may have been social, certainly psychological, maybe some of it political. I agree that parts of it can be interpreted political, but I wholeheartedly believe, and I cannot take that statement at face value, that horror has always been political. And if you're going to make such a claim, the burden of proof lies on you. You have to prove that. And I actually replied back to you. My tweet got ignored, which is your right, and I'm not entitled to a reply from you. But it got me thinking. So I decided to have a look through the history of horror to check if it has always been political. And I believe, I am pretty certain that that is not the case. Now, pinpointing accurately the beginning and the start of horror is complicated. I mean, we can think back to Shakespeare, Hamlet, when Hamlet is holding the skull and having his monologue there, or soliloquy. Is that horror? We can go back even further to the practices of ancient Egyptians and the Book of the Dead, but is that really horror? So what I did is I went back to H.P. Lovecraft, one of the masters of the genre in the 20th century, and to his essay, The Supernatural Horror in Literature. I'm going to leave the link to the essay below. I had read it in the past, but I reread it again just a couple of days ago to make sure that I was speaking from a point of information and knowledge. Lovecraft there, he sort of pinpoints Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto as the origin of the Gothic tale, and this is going back, I've got my notes here, to 1764. Okay, so we're saying that since 1764 horror has been political, but that is not true. I have read The Castle of Otranto, I've got it there in my collection. It is not political at all, and we can move through time checking the genre-defining works in horror literature, and there we can go to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Edgar Allan Poe, and there's nothing political about the Fall of the House of Usher or The Pit and the Pendulum or any of Poe's stories. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, certainly philosophical. I don't know about political. I don't think so. There's nothing political about Bram Stoker's Dracula or Stevenson's Jekyll and Hyde. Again, psychological, maybe philosophical, but certainly not political. Clark Ashton Smith and all his sci-fi / horror stories, I've got another collection there, nothing political at all. Oscar Wilde, The Portrait of Dorian Gray, I've read the book, nothing political there. H.P. Lovecraft, again, there's nothing political about his stories. there's a lot of psychology there. Some people will go so far as to say that there's some sort of racism in there, which I won't deny, but you have to look for it, and that doesn't necessarily make it political. It's just a reflection of the views of a man of his time and his place. But I suspect that Alisha, your reply has got to do with some article that maybe you read, which I'm gonna post the link below, and screenshot is here, and you're just repeating and spouting something you've read in reply to someone's comments about horror movies. Okay, I don't need to see the original argument that you got embroidering. I don't need to see this person that you're replying to and what he said, because that doesn't interest me. What interests me is your claim that horror has always been political. So if we're not talking about horror literature, because I believe I've presented quite clearly that it is not political, we could talk about horror films. Maybe horror films have always been political, but again, that is not the case. We can go back to the beginnings of horror films. Nosferatu is just Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's just a rip-off. It's just been. It was an adaptation of the novel, and brilliant movie. I watched it in the cinema. Fantastic, but nothing political there. Again, there is nothing political if we move forward in time through horror movies about The Fly or any sort of body horror slasher movies. There's nothing political there. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I mean, I've seen some people claim it is political because it is set during the McCarthy anti-communist witch hunt thing, but really, is that really what the movie is about? Not really. And we can move on. The Blob, The Exorcist, what a movie. I mean, if that doesn't scare you, you are immune to fear. And there's nothing political about The Exorcist. The Thing, any John Carpenter movie, are they political? Alien, is it political? Really? I mean, yeah, some movies are, and don't get me wrong, they're very effective. Night of the Living Dead, the classic by George Romero with that ending, yeah, that makes a political statement. So yeah, some movies are political or can be interpreted in that way, but to really go out and boldly claim that horror has always been political, always, really? Are you sure? Have you read enough? Have you watched enough movies? Have you backed up your claim? Let me know. I really want to engage in conversation here. I've been polite. I think I've been honest. I'm willing to engage. You can reply to me or ignore me. That's okay. I'm just putting this out there because it annoys me when people talk ex cathedra and they just make these bold assertions without any backing and any knowledge of what they're talking about. But I am more than happy, I'm more than more than willing to be corrected and to be proven wrong in a polite, civilized conversation. If you watch this, please let me know what you think, and I wish you all the best. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye.